Hey there, it's Gary Parrish. It's Friday, February 18th, 2022. Welcome back to the CBS Sports Eye on College Basketball Podcast, where we sometimes discuss camel fighting dodo birds and leaky black. Matt Norlander is here with me, and please note that the Eye on College Basketball Podcast is presented by Jersey Mike's, which is a proud sponsor of the Naismith Award. Jersey Mike's would like to offer congratulations to all the athletes on this season's Naismith watch list, and we're going to get to that Naismith watch list in just a little bit. If you watch it on YouTube, please smash the like button like you're Brandon Davies. It's right in front of you. It costs you nothing. And while you're here, please, if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button too. It matters. So please help us out with that. We thank you in advance. All right, dead leg. It's time to talk about Rutgers. The Scarlet Knights, as you know, they started the season 5-5. They lost to Lafayette. They lost to UMass. Just 13 mornings ago, they were 12-9, 2-3 in quadrant one, 2-3 in quadrant two. So 4-6 in the first two quadrants with two additional losses in quadrant three. And, oh boy, another loss in quadrant four. They were outside of the top 100 at KenPom. They were a million miles away from the bubble. But then they beat Michigan State by 21, Ohio State by 2, won at Wisconsin by 8, beat Illinois by 11. Rutgers added 4 quadrant one wins in a span of 12 days. And now CBS Sports' Jerry Palm has the Scarlet Knights projected as an 11 seed in the NCAA tournament. Deadleg, explain this turnaround. Does all credit go to Steve Pico and his players,
No.
or is it hard not to notice?
Mm-hmm.
Is it hard not to notice that Rutgers can no longer lose at home?
That's right.
Inside Jersey Mike's Arena.
Say it.
Since the Eye on College Basketball Podcast got a Jersey Mike sponsorship. Are we personally connected to this?
Personally connected, directly responsible. There are no coincidences, my friend. Rutgers' turnaround directly correlates to us being informed. Hey, gentlemen, every Friday you're going to be doing a Jersey Mike's Naismith Player of the Year segment on the podcast going forward. Since that has happened, guess what? Not only has Rutgers been good, if you go, let me refresh this. This was true yesterday. If you go to our good buddy BartTorvik.com, and I know you know how to adjust the rankings, preseason bias and all that, you can also say, how good has this team been since this specific date to this specific date? So if you go from February 2nd to today, it's still true. Again, we're taking into account efficiency and opponents. Here are the 5 best teams in men's college basketball. Do you want to trivia time this? Nah, it might be. It's doable, a little too tough. Too many options. Here are the 5 best teams in men's college basketball since February 2nd. Number 1 is Gonzaga. Number 2 is Tennessee. Number 3 is another Tennessee team, Memphis. Number 4 is Kansas. And number 5, Rutgers. Are you kidding me? This is a really, really fun, really cool story. We should be taking direct responsibility for this, I think, because there are no coincidences. I didn't know if you were going to mention that, because that's exactly what I was going to say right off the top there. So a couple items I'm going to get to with Rutgers, but let me throw it back to you. As of this morning, 1, you don't have Rutgers in your top 25-1, correct?
No, they don't belong there. They belong in the tournament, but they're still a long way from top 25-1 status.
Okay, that was my other question. I don't think Rutgers belongs in the tournament as of this morning. I would have them just barely out.
Because then you can go to hell.
Okay. Coming out hot and aggressive here on a Friday show. That passionate, huh? Listen, how about this one? I got a trivia time for you.
I got one for you, so go ahead.
Okay. Please, you throw it. If it's Rutgers related, just toss it at me right now.
Prepare for the toss.
Okay, here we go. What is it?
Right now, Rutgers is only 1 game out of first in the loss column of the Big Ten standings. Now, I'm not predicting they're going to win the Big Ten or share the Big Ten title, but theoretically, they have a chance heading into this weekend's game at Purdue. Trivia time. When was the last time Rutgers won a league title? And what league was it?
That's a good one. I'm not going to get this. So 2-parter. Will you give it to me if I'm within a year of the year?
Yes.
Give me 77 for Rutgers.
Incorrect answer. 1991 is the answer.
Okay. Big East.
Atlantic 10.
They were in the A-10. Damn it.
And the coach of that team was the great Bob Wenzel, now an analyst for CBS Sports Network.
There we go. Man, I almost went because that was the last time they made the tournament as well, prior to their resurgence in the past couple of years. That they had that super long drought. Okay, trivia time.
All right, let's go. Come.
Something most might not realize: Rutgers has a win and a loss in every quadrant. They have won at least one game and lost at least one game in quad 1, quad 2, quad 3, and quad 4. There is only one other team in the top 80 of the net, two other teams, in the top 80 of the net that have such results. Can you name even one of them?
No.
SMU? SMU
as a quad 4? Well, I noticed this the other night. So Rutgers has 3 losses outside of the first 2 quadrants, 2 quad 3s and a quad 4. And I went through and I looked at other team. I just started scrolling down through the net rankings and the breakdown of it. And I was looking for teams that had at least 3 losses outside of the first 2 quadrants. And nobody else in the entire country with at least 3 losses outside of the first 2 quadrants had more than 3 quadrant 1 wins. That's the best, except for Rutgers,
right,
which has 6 quadrant 1 wins. So Rutgers is literally the only team in the country that has at least 3 losses outside of the first 2 quadrants and more than 3 quadrant 1 wins. And not only do they have more than 3, they have twice as many as 3. They have 6. It's a goofy resume. We spent so much time this season talking about Alabama's goofy resume. Rutgers has surpassed Alabama for the goofiest resume in the country. And it's been quite a turnaround. I mean, some of it is they're better defensively than they are offensively, but they've been terrific offensively in this 4-game stretch. Not without some bad news, though. You probably saw, I know you did, Ron Harper Jr. Suffered a left hand injury of some sort late in the win over Illinois. His availability for this weekend at this moment remains unknown, but that's in a moment of incredible highs. That was kind of a bummer to see. I guess Rutgers announced it on Thursday.
Yeah, they did. Coincidentally enough, on the other podcast that I do, College Sports Now, I talked to Steve Peichel on Thursday morning, the morning after they got their big win.
You're not supposed to talk to me about that podcast, by the way.
If anyone wants more Norlander podcasts, College Sports Now, twice a week, go ahead and find it after you listen to Eye on College Basketball.
I'm sure our bosses love you promoting other podcasts.
Well, you talk about your radio show, so I think I think we're all good there. Steve Peichel.
Radio show is not a podcast. It's not a direct competitor.
Can you not listen to your radio show in podcast form, Parrish? Is that not available on podcast form, your radio show?
I can't speak to that. You're
okay.
asking questions.
I think it might be. Steve Peichel.
Anything else you want to promote on the CBS Sports Eye on College Basketball podcast that has nothing to do with CBS? Let me text Port real quick. Just go ahead and make a list of them.
Yeah, I'll think about that list there. Steve Peichel, I think he has done a wonderful job, but I would not have him in the tournament right now. Rutgers, the losses still have to count. So right now, Rutgers is 74th in the net, 53rd in KPI, 48 in strength of record, 67 in BPI, 69 in KenPom, 58 at Sagarin. None of those metrics indicate they would be in the field right now. They have good wins. They obviously won't be in the top 16 reveal, but I don't want recency bias to affect the overall resume. I talked to Tom Burnett. Parrish, is it okay if I promote my interview on our Eye on College Basketball podcast channel that I did yesterday?
If you want to bore the audience, sure.
Okay. So I interviewed the selection committee chair on Thursday. That interview can be seen on the Eye on College Basketball podcast channel. You will not get it in the podcast feed. It is a YouTube-only special. So if you have not watched it already, please go do so. On Saturday on CBS, there will be the in-season top 16 reveal. And so I talked to Tom Burnett, asked him a few things about all this. Keep an eye on that, and that'll be Saturday at 12:30. But in talking to him about all that, we talked about the importance of entirety of resume. He goes into why, it's not just the net. Net is kind of a default, understandably, it's the primary sorting tool for the NCAA selection committee, but it's important to take into account all these metrics, and the games in November count as much as the ones that just got played. So with that in mind, I would not have Rutgers in the field yet, and I don't think the metrics support it. We won't know this, to be truthful now, because we're only going to see the top 16 teams. But the wins are great. The losses do also matter, and they would be a groundbreaking case if these metrics were all the same once we got to Selection Sunday with the Gers, and they weren't better than 48th in any metric, and they got in. That would be unprecedented. So they're getting there, but they still got to do more. And by the way, the next two games are at Purdue and at Michigan.
I agree with every bit of that we shouldn't get caught up in recency bias. What happens in November matters just as much as what happens in February. That's all true. I guess, and I just point out, Jerry Palm understands all that as well. And he now has Rutgers as an 11 seed, like not even barely in, like not even going to Dayton. And so like reasonable people can disagree. I'm not here to say who's right and who's wrong. But like for whatever it's worth, the CBS Sports expert bracketologist has Rutgers easily in the field right now. Now, barring a surprise, they will take another loss on Sunday, barring a surprise. Yeah. But it'll be a quadrant one loss. I don't know how much I don't know if those things should knock you out of the field if you're projected as an 11 seed going into it. But the idea that we're even talking about Rutgers on February 18th is a pretty remarkable story, because again, 2 weeks ago they were 12-9 and outside of the top 100 at KenPom. There was no reason to think that they had anything like this in store for them, and yet here they are again. And like beyond that, I just sort of like Rutgers being good at basketball. Like Jersey Mike's Arena. Remember when we were never going to call it Jersey Mike's Arena?
And I do remember this. And
now
we played ourselves very much. So.
Now I will never call it anything other than Jersey Mike's Arena. Oh man. But like Jersey Mike's Arena has it's an incredible atmosphere when Rutgers is good, and in college basketball we get so caught so often. It's like, okay, this team's good again, but like, who are the players? Who like I don't remember these names from last season. I'm talking about for casual college basketball. Like right. Geo Baker, everybody knows Geo Baker and Ron Harper. Like these are guys who have been around and grown with the program. I don't know. I just think Rutgers being good is a nice and neat story, because remember when that job opened, like I know people that job was offered to. So do you. And the prevailing thought was, yeah, they're going to pay you a lot of money and you'll have access to a private plane and you'll be in the Big Ten, and then you'll get your brains beat in over and over and over again. And then you'll get fired in 5 years and you'll have $10 million, but you'll be miserable for 5 years until you get fired. And they end up offering the job to Steve, and he's like perfect for that job, because you're not going to out-recruit, out-player in the Big Ten Wisconsin, Ohio State, Indiana, Michigan State, Michigan, most of those programs. So what do you need at Rutgers? You need somebody who, when he gets some guys, maybe not the same caliber of high school prospects as the other guys are getting, but boy, he can coach them and he could turn it into something. And that is exactly what Steve has done at Rutgers, and it's been fun to watch.
They're gonna have to do plenty more though at Purdue. Listen, it's just they're awesome story. Like if they can get in, it'd be incredible. But they're at Purdue, at Michigan, still got to go at Indiana. They got a return game against Wisconsin. Remember, they won at Wisconsin. A sweep of Wisconsin would certainly help the resume. And then I would highly advise Rutgers to not F around and find out once we get to the Big Ten tournament. As of right now, I wouldn't have them in the field, but they're certainly getting there, and they are now the most intriguing at-large resume in the country. They're unquestionably a bubble team. If you want to make the case for it, I hear you, but I don't believe that they can get in with the metrics that they have at this point. So all for it, and let's hope that Ron Harper Jr. can get better soon. I would actually if he's not like really, really good and he can worsen the injury, just don't play him at Purdue. your odds are low at winning that game anyway. Like maybe be good for the roadie against Michigan on Wednesday. But, that training staff, that coaching staff will do whatever needs to be done, and he'll be back as soon as hopefully he can. And hopefully this isn't a thing where it's like, oh, he missed Purdue. He can't go at Michigan. Oh, okay, now he's missed the Wisconsin game. Hopefully it's not one of those kind of injuries, and they can get back in the mix. But, yes, Rutgers right now, just an awesome story, sitting at 10-5 in the conference. The only teams ahead of them in the loss column, Purdue, Illinois, Wisconsin, and Ohio State.
All right, we'll get to the Naismith watch list next. We'll tell you how this Player of the Year race is unfolding. But first, don't let me down. A word from our sponsors.
Paramount Plus is a mountain of entertainment. This is wagon trains, patrol cars, and starships.
Let's fly.
This is live sports, exclusive originals, and a mountain of entertainment.
The dream is coming true.
Paramount Plus. Stream now.
Once again, perfectly executed. Dead leg. Naismith watch list. Do you have your top candidates? I got mine.
Yeah, I got them all here. They posted to CBS Sports Instagram yesterday, so I got my top 3 right there. How about that? According to Matt Norlander.
How about that?
There we go. So I got to do this every week. I'm prepared. I'm good to go. And after this, little all-star thing coming for you, GP. What do you got for top 3? We're going top 3, right?
We're gonna go. Top 3.
Okay.
Anything more
there's
than
like
that?
11 dudes that are up for consideration for this.
Oh, sure. I keep it at 3. And I hate to not keep it interesting, but this is my trouble when we have to start doing mock drafts a lot leading into the NBA draft. It's like you do a mock draft on a Tuesday, and then they want another one on the following Tuesday because they do incredible traffic. Like, I understand it, but it's like nothing's really changed. Nothing would change the order. Nothing that's happened in the past week would change my order. So, like, are we just doing a copy and paste type deal, or what do we need to do here? I struggle with that. My point being that my top 3 from last Friday are the same top 3 for this Friday. At number 1, I've got Oscar Tshiebwe at Kentucky. He's averaging 16.2 points, 15.3 rebounds for a team that I've got ranked in the top 10 of the top 25 and 1. I looked like, okay, is there another? Like, is what Johnny Davis did earlier this week enough to push him to the top? Maybe, but then it would be like I'm dropping Oscar Tshiebwe from 1 after he just averaged 20 and 17 in his past 2 games. So if I had him number 1 last Friday, and then he averaged 20, only thing he's done since then is averaged 20 points and 17 rebounds. Why change? So I got Oscar Tshiebwe at number 1. I kept Johnny Davis at number 2. Now averaging 20.7 points, 8.3 rebounds, 2.3 assists for a team that, I have ranked in the top 10 of the top 25 and 1. Got 30 points, 12 rebounds Tuesday night against Indiana. Destroyed the 5G in the entire state. Hopefully they recover some point soon. And then at number 3, I've got Chet Holmgren, who is now averaging 14.6 points, 9.6 rebounds.
Chet Holmgren, number 3.
Chet Holmgren, number 3.
Damn. Okay.
14.6 points, 9.6 rebounds, 3.3 blocks, 2.0 assists for the team that's number 1 in the top 25 and 1. Shooting 63.2% from the field, 46.2% from 3 on more than 3 attempts per game. Got 18 points, 17 rebounds, 4 blocks Wednesday night against Pepperdine. And like we talked about on last week's podcast, whenever you start reading tweets from, Jared Burson at ESPN, researcher there, or the ESPN stats and info account, and they start saying, and this person just did something that hasn't been done in 30 years. This person just had a 4-game stretch that has never been done in the past decade. Like, you're getting some of those Chet Holmgren bullet points this season. He's starting to do things that are historically rare. And he, the idea that he was just okay early and has gotten great, that's not true. He was always good. He didn't consistently have really good games, but he showed signs of being special very, very early this season. But now he's at a point where he is consistently great. And I do think when it comes to Player of the Year, whether it's West Coast Conference or Naismith, he and Drew Timme are going to maybe end up splitting votes, and it's going to hurt both of them. But you take that, set it aside. I think he's a top 3 candidate for the Naismith Player of the Year right now.
I've got Chet at 6, and I've got Timmy at 7. They are kind of taking votes away from each other, so to speak, right now. I've got Sheboy 1, like you. I've got Johnny Davis 2, like you. And then I have got Ohio State's E.J. Liddell at 3. He's the best player in the Big Ten, according to Ken Pom. He's actually number 2 in Ken Pom's Player of the Year algorithm. E.J. Liddell is averaging 20 points, 7.6 rebounds, 3 assists, shooting 51% from the field. Oh, by the way, 2.5 blocks a game. Dude is 6'7". It's time to give Chris Holtman's dude some credit here. He has got to be up there. Now, Ohio State currently sits at 16-6 overall, 9-4 in the Big Ten, and it's got a game against Iowa on Saturday. We'll preview the weekend in a little bit here. So because he hasn't been on a team that's been consistently in the top 10, hasn't put up, mammoth performances, and Ohio State hasn't been absolutely front and center the way some of these other guys are, I think that's why he's gotten caught a little bit lost in the mix. But in his since January 27th, he's had 23 points, 20, 24, 16, 28, and 16. And almost all of those games, he was above 50% from the field. He's in that stretch, he is at almost 1.3 points per possession. So I would have E.J. Liddell at number 3. I think he's a sneaky, really, really good NBA pick, like lottery level pick for this upcoming draft. But it's really close. So that's my top 3. Where would you, if you just, generally speaking, even if you don't have an exact list, is he knocking on the door? Is he maybe more floating in your like 5 to 8 range?
No, like I was almost going to stop you when you were going to go beyond 3 and say, okay, let me guess who's next for you. And I was going to guess E.J. Liddell. He's terrific. He's been terrific. I think his issue is that a little bit like Ohio State, he's sort of been operating in the second tier of college basketball basically all season. Like, Kentucky launches into the top 5 and Sheboy's on big stages. And so we're constantly talking about him. And Johnny Davis has these massive games and has developed into, a projected top 5 pick according to some. So we focus on him. Chet Holmgren is, among the stars of the number 1 team in the country and possible number 1 pick in the draft. So we talk about him. And so relatively speaking, somewhat quietly, here's E.J. Liddell playing on a team that's not ranked in the top 10, but in the top 20. Like Ohio State's been in that 10 to 20 range, it feels like, all season long. And Liddell, therefore, maybe doesn't get the same type of attention as some of these other guys do, but he is a legitimate NBA prospect now. He's a legitimate Player of the Year candidate now. In fact, earlier this week in studio, I guess it would have been Tuesday night, Wally Zerbiak, after Ohio State throttled Minnesota, said if I were voting for National Player of the Year right now, I would vote for E.J. Liddell.
Okay, there you go. Good case for it. Okay, I'm going to have you pick which of these you like more. This weekend, NBA All-Star Game. So if college basketball had an All-Star Game, I assembled both teams, 12-man rosters apiece, split them up. Team Larnell, Team Downey.
Okay.
I sent it to Nada. I think he's going to put it on the screen here, and we're going to put up a poll. So this is Team Larnell right here. I'm going to read it out for everyone listening on the pod. Starting 5, Oscar Sheboy, Kentucky, Drew Timmy Gonzaga, E.J. Liddell, Ohio State, Jaden Ivey, Purdue, Johnny Davis, Wisconsin. Your reserves on Team Larnell, Walker Kessler at Auburn, Travion Williams at Purdue, Keegan Murray at Iowa, David Roddy at Colorado State, Benedict Mathurin at Arizona, Armando Bacot at UNC, and St. Louis's Yuri Collins. Why Yuri Collins? He leads the nation in assists at more than 8 a game. He's going to win it, and I wanted to give a little bit of love to some dudes who have genuinely been statistically awesome outside the Power Conference. So that's Team Larnell. Let's look at Team Downey, see which one you like more, and see which one the listeners like more. I think Nada's going to toss up a poll in the chat. Team Downey, starting 5, Kofi Coburn, Illinois, Chet Holmgren, Gonzaga, Jabari Smith, Auburn, Ochai Agbaji, Kansas, and Colin Gillespie at Nova. That's your starting 5. And then coming off the bench, Paulo Banchero, Duke, Zach Edey, Purdue, Trace Jackson Davis, Indiana, JD Note at Arkansas. Side note, maybe the best defender and leading scorer in the SEC, maybe the most underrated player in the country. JD Note, had to get him on there. Orlando Robinson, Fresno State, the best big no one talks about. Alondas Williams, maybe the ACC Player of the Year if it's not Bacot, and then Darius McGee at Liberty, who has gone for more than 40 in multiple games this season. So a lot of these are National Player of the Year, first, second team All-American candidates, and then I wanted to give a little bit of representation to some lesser heralded players on some smaller teams who have been legitimately awesome this year. My two reserves that didn't make the cut, Hunter Dickinson, Johnny Juzang. I think those were the two toughest calls. I'm sure if you're listening or watching, you want to make your voice known. Who did I miss? What's wrong? Go ahead. But which team do you like more? Downey or Larnell? I tried to split it up as evenly as I could.
Team Downey, easy.
Easy.
I like the way it's put together. You got this physically overwhelming big in Kofi Coburn. Then you got Chet Holmgren right beside him, who can also be a rim protector, but also on the offensive end, float around the perimeter. I mean, Jabari Smith on the wing. Who doesn't love that?
Mm-hmm.
And then Ochai Agbaji has turned into this aggressive, high-level scorer for a national championship contender. And then why wouldn't you want Colin Gillespie running the whole thing? That's to me, that's easily the better team.
Okay, easily. Well, the other team has Shibwe, Liddell, and Johnny Davis, maybe the three front runners for National Player of the Year in the starting five. It's got the best defensive player in the year in Walker Kessler coming off the bench, in addition to the best sixth man in the country, Travion Williams. Keegan Murray can go off for 35. David Bitroddy's the best small ball five in the country. Armando Bacot, by the way, is like 18 and 12. So yeah, I don't know. I'd be interested to see what the listeners want as well. I tried to the Team Larnell might be a little more college focused, although you also have Jaden Ivey, the best guard in the country, on that starting five. So I thought I did a decent job at kind of splitting up both of them. But if I were to pick between these two, I would narrowly, I think, go Downey, narrowly. But my goodness, you've got Kessler and Williams off the bench. They're all-star teams at college level. These are all awesome players. But interesting to a little good thought experiment. Anyone that pops to you that maybe I should have put on there that I didn't?
No. I mean, it's interesting that, Johnny Juzang was a preseason first-team All-American, is having a good year for a team that is having a good season, and you couldn't find a spot for him. I'm not arguing. I'm just saying It's interesting that you couldn't find a spot with him. I
would have put I could have taken Darius McGee off from Liberty and put Juzang. But again, I wanted to at least be a little bit of representative and give some love to some guys in some mid-major leagues. And again, dude's gone for more than 40 this year. And like Orlando Robinson, a lot of people might not know. He is legitimately awesome. He's in the top 10 for Ken Pom Player of the Year algorithm, and he will be a quality NBA pick. Nada's telling me Team Larnell is winning the poll over Team Downey. Very interesting to know. By the way, in the spirit of All-Star Weekend, I did think out three-point shooting contestants and the dunk contest contestants at the college level. This is by pure statistics. These would be your three-point shooters. Jordan Gainey of USC Upstate, 53.5%, best in the country right now. Then Alex Arians of South Dakota State, Oliver Lynch Daniels of Colgate, Kentrell Garnett out of Louisiana, Keller Boothby from Cornell, and Kyle Foster.
That's my guy, Keller Boothby.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is. You don't even know what happened while you were gone last Friday.
Keller Boothby. All right, Keller Boothby of Cornell and Kyle Foster of Howard. Go ahead. What happened?
So we were talking about Chet Holmgren, and I was explaining how Chet Holmgren is on pace to have the second best true shooting percentage of any Division I player in the past 30 years. Again, according to Jared Burson of ESPN. And I was like, so when I looked at that, I was like, okay, but he's not even first this season. So he's on pace. Holmgren is to have the second best true shooting percentage of the past 30 years, but he's not even first this season. Who was first? Answer, Keller Boothby from Cornell. And so I made a promise to Keller and to the people. If he finishes with the highest true shooting percentage this season, he gets a forever shout out.
Okay. A Colgate player? Cornell, Colgate, what is he?
Cornell.
Okay.
And within 24 hours of saying that, guess who was following me on Twitter?
He found you.
Keller Boothby. What's up, KB?
Keller Boothby. That's too funny, man. Well, those are the most accurate three-point shooters this season. If you want to just from like major conferences / relevant teams, the four best three-point shooters by percentage only this season. Justin Bean, 50%. AJ Griffin right behind him. Notre Dame's Dane Goodwin. And then Purdue's Mason Gillis are the four best three-point shooters at the Power Conference, multi-bid conference level. And then dunk contest. First of all, I think these are four of the best. I don't know if they're the four best, but Devin Cambridge of Auburn, Tavion Kinsey of Marshall, Jaden Ivey of Purdue, Kendall Brown of Baylor. I think dunk contest is now four people. I tried to narrow it down to four. Feel free to speak up in the chat. If there's a dunker at the college level who you think is awesome and would deserve to be in a dunk contest, let me know. But those are, I think, are four of at least the 7 or 8 best. Devin Cambridge, Kendall Brown, Jaden Ivey, Tavion Kinsey. But trivia time.
All right, come on.
I have the list of the 5 most frequent dunkers in men's college basketball this season. Who do you think has more dunks than anyone else in men's college basketball this season?
Kofi Coburn.
He's not even like in the top 25.
Dude, that's all I ever see is him dunk.
And he's not. He's got a little more than half of the leading. The person who has the most has 72.
Most dunks. I thought I would have felt very good about seeing Kofi Coburn. Like I have to do highlights of his games every week in studio, and it's like, and there's another dunk from Kofi Coburn. He just ripping goals down.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was surprised. He's not highly up there.
I would say Jalen Duren, but he missed so many games. He can't be up there.
Yeah.
Is Hunter Dickinson up there?
Hunter Dickinson is not in the top 5.
Well, this is stupid. Ooh, Walker Kessler.
Walker Kessler is up there. Walker Kessler is he's tied for 4th. He's got 65 dunks. The leader is not in a power conference, but I think you know who he is because he's the tallest person in the sport. We've talked about him on the podcast, but he's not like an everyday player. But I figure CBS Sports Network, you've definitely done highlights on this guy this season.
I'm scrolling through teams right here. I don't know. I'm lost. Give me the list.
The list, most dunks this season. Western Kentucky's Jamarian Sharp, 7'5", 72 dunks.
Yeah.
Behind him, Trace Jackson Davis and Cliff Amori of Rutgers both have 66 dunks this season. Walker Kessler and Mark Williams of Duke have 65. Those are the 5 most frequently successful dunkers in men's college basketball. Credit to BartTorvik.com. He tracks that stat.
You ready to get to the final 4 and 1?
I'm only ready after Nada tells me how David Cobb did last week and how you did last week and those overall records.
First. Before we get to the final 4 and 1,
Okay.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Are your go-to game day foods feeling uninspired? Next time, skip the usual suspects and order Jersey Mike's. At Jersey Mike's, they make every sub to order with premium fresh sliced meat and cheesesteaks are cooked on a flat-top grill. Download the app for delivery, curbside, or in-store pickup. Jersey Mike's is a proud sponsor of the Naismith Award and a proud maker of a sub above. Now, Nada, give me those records because I'm feeling real good after taking the lead last week, finally. It's good to be in first place.
You sure you're feeling really good? You sure that's not just you being like well rested for the first time in maybe 7 weeks?
I might just be well rested. Boy, choosing to fly home late on Thursdays instead of early on Thursdays is like the best decision of my life. And I've made a lot of good decisions in my life. I made some bad ones too. I've made lots of bad ones, but I made lots of good ones. And recency bias perhaps, but flying home late on Thursday it's a blessing.
So that's why you feel so good because the good decisions, they didn't happen last week either. You went 2 and 3. You went 2. Cobb went 4 and 1 again.
Amazing. Incredible, man.
David Cobb's the king of the final 4 and 1. He's like Kyrie Irving. Like he just pops in every once in a while. He's not consistently able to participate in the final 4 and 1. He's like the Kyrie Irving of the Eye on College Basketball podcast.
I heard people might have been more angry with David Cobb last week than even Kyrie Irving at some point.
Holy hell. I had so many people. There's this video circulating. Somebody chopped up the Eye on College Basketball podcast. And it's like a 35-second video, 45-second, whatever it is. And it's David Cobb talking. I literally don't say a word in the video. I'm just sitting there like this. And so I did. I didn't say a word. And they're like, Parrish, you idiot. I'm like, that ain't me talking.
Yeah, it is.
That's not me talking. I didn't say those words. Jesus. How you going to get mad at me? I didn't even, like, it's actually hilarious. If you go watch the video that was circulating, it had like a bazillion views, and people were yelling at me on Twitter. If you go watch the video, I literally don't say one word in the video. It's just me and my pretty face.
I leave for one show. Look what happens. Before we get the games, out of curiosity, Nada, for anyone listening that might have voted for either all-star team and wondered if they're lined up, where do those poll results stand? What was the breakdown?
So far, it's actually getting closer to 50-50. Like, again, these are very even teams, and so far the voting reflects that. I'm going to keep this poll up for a little bit. We'll see where it lands. I would not be surprised if it ends up 50-50, though.
All right, good deal. GP, what do we got here?
Saturday, game 1, noon Eastern. Number 12, Illinois, at number 19, Michigan State, inside the Mateen-Cleave Center. KenPom has it Michigan State -1. You can watch it on ESPN. You concerned about the Spartans at all?
Not so much concern as just this team is kind of there. You know, they're going to make the tournament. They'll be an OK seed probably. They were 14-2. Now they're 18-7 overall. Lost 3 of the past 4. Lost at home a little over a week ago to Wisconsin. Got taken out on the road against Penn State on Tuesday. You know, this is a big game, clearly. Right now, the Big Ten standings, I said them earlier, but just as a refresher, 4 losses for Purdue, Illinois, Wisconsin, Ohio State. Michigan State's 1 game behind now. It's 9-5, and there was a time where it was obviously sitting at the top of the league ledger. Not the case at all. I'm interested to see what kind of Michigan State team we get in this spot. Illinois also has just struggled a little as of late, but understandably so. It was I don't want to say it was non-competitive, but it wasn't even in the game against Purdue 10 days ago. It was able to get a win at home against Northwestern last weekend, and then goes on the road and loses at Rutgers, which so many teams. I mean, Rutgers, by the way, I forgot to mention this earlier. It's the first team, credit to, I think the Big Ten Network had this stat. Rutgers has won 4 consecutive games over ranked teams as an unranked team. That has not happened in at least more than 2 decades there. So what Rutgers is doing right now is it's absurd. In this game, I'm going to go, I don't like this one at all. I'll go with Michigan State to win at home. The line is only 1 here, according to the KenPom projection. So give me Sparty in this spot. I'm not overly confident with it, but the Big Ten's just been a little bit weird, and I still like Illinois, big picture, but I can see him losing this game. So why the hell not? I'll go MSU.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think both these teams really need a win. You know, Illinois 1-2 in their past 3. Michigan State 4-5 in its past 9. Obviously, the 4-5 a little more troubling than the 1-2 because the 2 losses for Illinois, as you pointed out, at Purdue, at Rutgers. Like, most people are going to lose at Purdue. Everybody's been losing at Rutgers. Even Purdue lost at Rutgers. But like 4-5 over your past 9, that's like a month stretch. It's not a small sample size. And so that's a little concerning, but yeah, I'll take Michigan State at home. It's not that I can't imagine Illinois going there and winning, but seems to me the more likely scenario is Michigan State gets things done at home. Game 2, Saturday, noon Eastern. Xavier at number 24, UConn, inside the Josh Knockhamson Pavilion. You remember Josh Knockhamson, don't you?
Of course.
KenPom has it UConn -6. You can watch it on Fox.
How about Xavier? So still safely in the field,
but slip sliding
away at the moment right now, and beat UConn last Friday. Then got trounced at home by St. John's on Wednesday night. Travis Steele is yet to have an NCAA tournament level team in his 3 previous seasons. This one is that, but I don't think they're going to get it done here. UConn right now has won 3 of its past 4. The only loss, as mentioned, at Xavier, but has a win over Marquette. Got a win at St. John's, and then won a weird one, but they won it Wednesday night at home against Seton Hall. When I watch UConn, I like so many of this team's pieces. I do. Adama Sanogo can be an absolute monster. RJ Cole is streakier than UConn fans want him to be, but still capable of getting a bucket. Tyrese Martin can certainly step out and shoot, and he's got great length. And then guys like Tyler Polley, Isaiah Whaley can be above average, high level defenders when asked to do it. And then you got Andre Jackson. There's just a lot there. kind of feel like UConn's going to be a team that burns me in the bracket because no matter how I pick them to do, they're going to do the opposite. I like them in this game, and I do like them. They've had a tendency to play some close games here in league play, but I do like them to win this and get there, without too much trouble. This is at Gamble. If it was in Hartford, there's definitely a difference between those two venues. Gamble should be rocking on a Saturday, so I will take UConn to win, and I think they're actually going to flirt with a double-digit victory here.
A few weeks ago in the dribble handoff, one of the question that we were presented with was name a team currently ranked outside of the top 15 that you could envision going to the Final Four, and I went with UConn for a lot of the reasons you stated. Like, I like the way this team looks. I like this team's ceiling. Remember, they beat Auburn back in November, but scoring gets hard for them sometimes. The first half the other night, they really had a hard time, but they're a great offensive rebounding team, so they get a lot of second chances opportunities. And I agree with you. This is a team that I could see losing in the first round or like somehow ending up in the Elite Eight. Like, neither one of those things would be totally shocking to me. I like the pieces. They just haven't quite put it all together consistently yet, but, there's still a few weeks left in this thing. Xavier is starting to become a little concerning. Safely in the field, like you noted, that's right, but 1-3 in the past 4 games with home losses to DePaul and St. John's. They added 2 quadrant 3 losses to their resume in a span of 14 days. Like, that's not good. Still safely in the field, but they're moving in the wrong direction. And oh, by the way, so at UConn this weekend, then you know what's next? At Providence.
There we go.
So, that's how you go. They could end up going 1-5 in a 6-game stretch. And now you do start to get a little closer to the bubble. How about this? They're going to have to win a game on the road against a better team in one of the next 2 to avoid 1-5 in a 6-game span. Yikes.
Yeah. Yikes. It could get dicey. They could turn into one of those teams where Big East tournament starts. They're probably in, but it's like, do not lose that first game you play. Don't even think. So that might be on the table for Xavier. I've got them covering. What do you have happening here?
I'll take Xavier plus the 6, despite everything I just said.
All right, there we go.
I
can see it. I can see Xavier winning the game. I can see it happen.
I'll take Xavier plus the 6. UConn wins a close game. That would be my official prediction. Game 3, Saturday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, number 11, Texas Tech at number 20, Texas, inside the Boobie Gibson Center. Ken Palm has it. Texas, -1. You can watch it on ABC.
ABC game. All right, then.
It's not America's most watched network, so don't get too excited.
Not even close.
Honestly, not even close.
Not even close. So a couple notes on this. First of all, Trey Mitchell of Texas is taking a personal leave of absence. Not determined if and when he will return to the team. So he's an important player, and he's not with Texas at the moment. Is not expected to play with the team this weekend. Secondly, did you see what's going on down in Austin right now?
Austin city limits. What happening?
Okay, so this is the rematch. The last time Chris Beard had to face his former team didn't go so well for him. Here's the home thing. But the deal is Frank Irwin Center, Boobie Gibson Center, whatever we're calling it here. It's an arena that is too big for the Texas men's basketball program, and they got the Moody Center, which is opening next season. It's going to be, I've been told, just absurdly state of the art. Like, it's going to be one of the best venues in the country in college sports because, oh, by the way, long story short, like, they actually consulted with like people in the entertainment and music industry about how to construct an arena like this and not make it just for sports. Like, sports is the big thing, but like significantly like high grossing touring acts and people that represent them were apparently involved in this whole process. And I can't wait to see it. So Texas's home court situation is going to get like a major upgrade next season. And Austin, Music City, is going to have like another premier music venue.
Because I think, and I talked to Chris Beard about this back in the summer, it's going to be like 9,000 or 10,000 seats for basketball with the ability to expand up to like maybe 15 or so. So that's how you can get the big touring acts in. Just expand it up to 15, or you put seats on the floor instead of a basketball court. I don't know the specifics, but you can get a big number. And then for basketball, it's going to be cozier, which is perfect. Like big time basketball programs outside of like Kentucky, Kansas, Indiana, they should be playing at 9,000 seat arenas.
I completely agree with you. On the music note, like my favorite band, DMB, will open its tour in Texas's new building, and it won't. Not that it can't or wouldn't, but like 9,000. It can fill more than that. So to your exact point with that, they will. Apparently, it's just going to be a phenomenal arena, and I can't wait to eventually, hopefully, get down there to see it one day. But they're dealing with the Irwin Center this year, and it's so big. So what was I getting to before? GP, Texas Tech fans they're gobbling up all these tickets. So Texas, in an effort to try and stop the dam from completely breaking, it halted the sale of tickets, and now they are letting all of these students come in for free. They're trying to get as many Texas students into the building, because I think Texas Tech fans are going to have at least 5,000 people in that building, at least. And so it's going to be it sounds crazy to say, but it might be kind of close to a neutral court environment for Texas on that, because again, you're dealing with an extremely pissed off fan base who, by the way, has a team that's been better, ranked better, won the first game at home. So that's going to be, it'll just be another interesting watch. Chris Beard won't need, at least I don't think he'll need the kind of security he had for the trip in Lubbock, but fascinating game with a lot of more interesting backdrop to it. I will go Texas to win in this spot, Parrish. I believe you said it was 1, right? I'll take, no Trey Mitchell is certainly a factor. But Texas Tech doesn't have Kevin McCullough, who's out for the moment. I don't think he's expected to play in this game. They have gotten Terrence Shannon Jr. back, which has been big, but I'll take him to split. Texas Tech has a very solid resume. All the losses are good, but it has gotten picked off on the road at Providence, picked off on the road at Iowa State, picked off on the road at Kansas State, picked off on the road at Kansas, and picked off on the road against Oklahoma. So I'll just kind of continue with that trend. Give me Texas to win a close one, and that should be among the better watches, because in particularly with the fan situation in Austin.
I'm sure Texas Tech fans are loving that they can go fill up the Irwin Center. That's hilarious.
Forced Texas to stop the sale of tickets because it was that many, and now Texas is like, well, we will literally just eat the cost. Students come in here for free.
They got to a point where they said, we would rather not sell these tickets than have you buy these tickets.
How about that? Truth.
That's great.
Yeah, I know.
All 6 of Texas Tech's losses are in quadrant 1. They've got some big wins too. Beat Kansas, Tennessee, Texas, swept Baylor, home and away. Texas, meantime, 6-2 in the past 8 games. The losses at Texas Tech, at Baylor, beat Tennessee, beat Kansas. I'll take Texas at home too. I like home teams in these situations, but you're right. Texas Tech has been the better team this season. There's no getting around that, and not having Trey Mitchell is obviously a factor as well. Game 4, Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Number 25, Alabama, at number 4, Kentucky, inside Tubby Smith Arena. He deserves that. Retired earlier this week.
Indeed.
Incredible career. KenPom has it Kentucky -10. You can watch it on CBS. That's America's most watched network. It's the network of stars. And if you stream it, you'll get to see Deadleg in studio for CBS Sports HQ.
I will. I'm going to do, as opposed to doing the stuff up here in the office, I will drive down to Stamford, Connecticut. I will be in the studio for HQ in the 11 a.m. hour on Saturday to talk the afternoon slate, so you can watch that, pick some games, some ones we're not even talking about here. And then there's the bracket reveal, 12:30 Eastern on CBS. So I'll have some reaction to that. And then I'll be obviously doing stuff with this game, and I'll be in the studio on Saturday. Oh, by the way, programming note, I did talk to Kyle Boone. I talked to him on Thursday. So I don't want to promise anything that's not for sure going to happen, but he mentioned this. Not if you want to hop back in here and confirm this. I believe the plan here is this bracket reveal will come out top 16, 12:30 Eastern on Saturday. And then at some point in the afternoon, Nada, is the soft plan for the YouTube channel to be Cobb and Boone to hop on here and give their, 15, 20 minutes worth of thoughts? Is that the plan here?
Absolutely. We are a full service YouTube channel, so therefore we will give instant reacts to the top 16 as soon as they're ready. We'll give about 15-20 minutes, and it'll be at YouTube only.
Excellent. So you get a little Kyle Boone making his grand return back to the pod, and David Cobb will give their thoughts on the top 16. I'll pick the Kentucky game in a second, but on that note, GP, Kentucky is, I think, a lock to be on the 2 line. We agree, and I think this must line up with your top 25 and 1. Let's just predictions. I'm going to say Auburn, number 1 overall seed, then Gonzaga 2, Arizona 3, Kansas 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, that order. That's my guess. Would you agree?
I don't have the top 25 in that order because I've got Gonzaga 1, Auburn 2, but I do think the 4 number 1 seeds right now would be Gonzaga, Auburn, Arizona, Kansas. And then after that, I've got Purdue, Duke, Kentucky, Villanova.
Mm-hmm.
And then the 3 seeds would be Providence, Wisconsin, Texas Tech, Baylor. And then my 4 seeds would be Tennessee, UCLA, Texas, Illinois.
Interesting. Okay. Well, they'll react to it. I think Auburn will be the number 1 overall seed Saturday, only because Gonzaga doesn't have the road opportunities and wins. I think that's the biggest reason why.
I've made this point before. I think you can easily make the case that Gonzaga should be ranked number 1 right now because of the run their own, because of the way they've been destroying everybody, because of the computer numbers, so on and so forth. But Auburn, if you just strictly look at quad 1, quad 2, that type of stuff, Auburn's got the best resume in the country.
Yeah, I would think that's the case. Arizona is sneaky. I wouldn't put it completely past the committee to say Arizona is going to be the 2-hole, Gonzaga 3 from a resume perspective. I would guess, and I would put Gonzaga 2. I don't think Gonzaga has any room for error, though, at this point. As for this, dude, what if Alabama wins this game? I don't think it's going to happen, but you said 10 points. Like, if Alabama wins this game, it's going to be bonkers, ridiculous. 10 is a lot. What's our tie situation at the moment? What was the last update?
It remains unclear, but I would assume if he re-aggravated the ankle just a few nights ago, that he's either playing at something less than 100% or not playing.
These teams,
and for what it's worth, John Calipari said after the Tennessee game, if I had to do it over again, I would not have played him.
I would not expect him to be on the floor then, which impacts my call here. These teams played back on February 5th, and Kentucky won by 11. It won in Tuscaloosa, but I will take Alabama to cover here. I'll take Kentucky to win. It's been the better team, although Alabama's beaten multiple teams on 1, 2, 3 line this season. So it's not unthinkable, but I will go with Bama to be inside that number, single-digit margin, tied play it close.
Yeah, I'll take Alabama plus 10, especially with Ty's availability being uncertain. And Xavier Wheeler also left the Tennessee game late, holding his wrist. I don't know, I don't know that it was serious, but it was noticeable. And so, I mean, those guys, they just keep getting banged up. And I think John was asked earlier this week, saw this somewhere, like maybe he has a radio show and people call in, or maybe it was a press conference. Clearly, I have no idea. Could have been
an IG live, whatever. Like,
but the question was along the lines of what does this team need to do, before the NCAA tournament to be ready for that, something like that. And he said, just get healthy. Just get healthy. If we're healthy, we're good enough. And I think that's true, by the way. I think Kentucky healthy is good enough to win the national title, but it's been a little while since they've been 100% healthy across the board. And not every little knick-knack injury matters, but anything to Ty Washington or Xavier Wheeler, those things matter.
Agreed. All right, listen. Let's dial down those. I got a few notes, a few games to watch, but here it comes.
Oh, the music again. Woo!
It's back.
I know how much everybody loves that.
If it sounds maybe a little bit loud, it's actually not loud on the podcast. So I've got it on. I think it should be good out here.
Well,
couple notes. God, how does this not get you just fired up for the weekend. All right, first of all, Oregon, see ya. Lost 81-57 last night to Arizona State. Swept by the Sun Devils for the first time in 11 years. Get the Ducks the hell out of here. They're not going to the tournament. Okay?
Oh, wow.
They're done. Now, got to give a note here. IUPUI beat Robert Morris. First win over a D1 team this year. We love it. They were literally asking for tryouts to make the roster to students on campus 2 weeks ago. They beat Robert Morris, Bobby Moe. That's a tough situation there. But good on IUPUI. Trivia time.
All right.
You got no shot at this.
Okay.
2 teams without a Division I win this season. Who are they?
Feels like Georgetown's got to be one of them. I know they're not, but it feels like it. I know they're not, but it feels like it.
That's brutally cold, my man. That is cold. The answers are Lamar and Delaware State. We root for you to get a Division I win at some point this season. Flip side, give you an easy one. Trivia time. Who's the winningest team in men's college basketball right now on Friday, February 18th?
Murray State.
You are damn right. Murray State is 25-2, the winningest team in the sport right now. I'm saying it right now. Agree with me. Racers are dancing no matter what. I'm saying it. And agree, they're dancing no matter what. They're going to get there.
Well, how many games they have left in the regular season? Like, no matter what means no matter what. Like, if Murray State is dancing, even if it loses its next 3 games and then loses in the first round of its conference tournament. No.
Correct. No. So I want to make this key distinction here. I'm extremely litigious when it comes to calling teams locks, because a lock to me, and I've said this a dozen times over the years, you literally can afford to lose every single game, no matter how unlikely, and you're still in no matter what. Murray State is not a lock. What I'm saying is different. I'm predicting that Murray State's just good enough. They're going to get these wins. They're going to get in. They're making the tournament, Racers fans. You don't need to worry about this situation where maybe you have a 4-loss team and you're not getting in. I even think Murray State with 4 losses gets in as an at-large.
Yeah, Murray State's in the NCAA tournament, but not no matter what. I was listening to what you were actually saying and taking it literally. If they were to lose out, they're not in, but they're not going to lose out. They're probably going to win out. My
guess is this, by the way. If they run the table and only have 2 losses, they'll have the same seed as they had a decade ago when they went 31-1. They were a 6 seed then, a 2-loss Murray State team. I think it gets to the 6th line. Their net has been inside the top 20 for a couple of weeks now. Good signs there. Just wanted to give them a little bit of love. I do have another trivia time.
Okay.
This is insane. Auburn, they're going to play this weekend. I saw this from Fox Sports. Only 13 major conference teams have more blocks this season than Walker Kessler alone.
Right.
Did you see this?
I saw that Walker Kessler would rank like top 15 as a team blocks on the season. I did see that.
I don't know. Bailing on the trivia time. But it's UConn, Arizona, St. John's, Duke, Florida, Michigan State, Marquette, Indiana, Bama, Oklahoma State, Seton Hall, West Virginia, and DePaul, the only major conference teams with more blocks as a team than Walker Kessler, who has 123.
That's the impact of Charlie Moore. In fact, he probably has nothing to do with it.
I can't disagree with you on that. Okay, let's do a quick tour around the weekend before we pick the final game here. 1 Eastern, Notre Dame at Wake, ACC bubble special. I had to talk about my biggest bubble game of the weekend on CBS Sports HQ earlier this morning. This was the game to me. This is one to me where the winner is going to still be in the field for now, and the loser, I think you can make a good argument, would be out of the field, at least temporarily. I talked to Mike Bray earlier this week. Notre Dame was featured in the court report. How about this quick little, how many coaches would do this, Parrish? Bray told me that he trusts his team so much, he doesn't want to F it up. He literally just walked out of practice 45 minutes in the other day because the vibe was too good and he didn't want to mess things up. How many coaches are literally saying, you know what? I'll see you later. I'm good.
Well, we were watching a Notre Dame game in studio a few weeks ago, and one of the commentators, this is another one of the things I don't remember where we heard it exactly, but if I remember correctly, one of the players said that coach lets us pick who we want to guard. And we were in studio with some players, former players and former coaches, and they were like, I've never heard of that before, that the players get to pick who they're going to guard. But that was the thing. One of the Notre Dame players said that Mike lets them pick who they want to guard going into it's like, all right, who you got? It's like, hey, coach, I'll take number 4. Okay, cool. Well, who you got? All right, go play. He really trusts his team, it appears, and it seems to be working out.
It does. So 1 Eastern, 2 Eastern, ESPN Plus, Oklahoma 14-12 at 17-9 Iowa State. Loser goes to the basement of the Big 12. Both have 9 league losses. And Oklahoma wouldn't be in the field as far as I'm concerned at this point because, again, loss count has to matter. Getting a win in this spot would be big. Also, 2 Eastern, I mentioned Auburn before they play at Florida. Tigers will look to keep pace with the 1 line. Meanwhile, Florida would get back into the mix heavily if it can win. Gators are in a little bit of a tight spot. 2:30 Eastern on Fox, Iowa at Ohio State. Iowa's lone win. Okay, I had to crack up last night. So Chris Hassel texts me out of nowhere. He goes, well, he was texting earlier about we got to talk about the net rankings are a joke. Talk about Rutgers. You got to talk about it on the podcast. Hassel, we're doing it now for you, buddy. And then he goes, I'm tired of these miserable Power 5 teams getting these spots over good mid-major teams. And he goes, Iowa doesn't have a win over a single tournament team. Like, he's clearly watching the Iowa game. I don't know what was going on. I think he had to call a game for CBS Sports Network last night. Maybe he was checking it on his phone. So he does this. And I swear to God, Parrish, my natural instinct to respond to this text message, I go, you got to put 68 teams in the field, Hassel. And you do.
True.
You got to. It was like, I wasn't doing it to be funny. I was like, oh my God, I almost just did it non-ironically. You have to put 68 teams in this field. Iowa's only win over a tournament team right now is Indiana. But who do you like more in those kind of spots? Do you like Rutgers with what it has done and not been able to do? Or do you like Iowa, which doesn't have as many losses, but again, only win over a projected tournament team right now is Indiana? Like, just curious. Which
Rutgers. I want teams that beat people. Anybody can lose to good teams, and that's all. That's really all Iowa's done this season is lose to good teams. A little bit like North Carolina. All North Carolina's done this season is lose to good teams and Pitt.
Woo! Oh, I know. I'm getting there. Okay, so Iowa at Ohio.
By the way, real quick, before I 100% assign that story to Mike Bray, I believe somebody in the comments is suggesting that might be a Shaka Smart story, not a Mike Bray story about letting his players pick who they want to guard. So if it is, I apologize or not. I don't know what I'm talking about. I just know that I heard that story and it popped into my head when you were talking about Mike Bray, but it could be a Shaka Smart story. Who can say for sure?
Well. Not a lot of coaches really have that kind of combo of confidence and also humility. Interesting nonetheless. Iowa at Ohio State. Iowa would do wonders for its resume if it can pick them off. 4 Eastern game we did not pick for Final Four and 1. If you thought it might be in the mixer, this is not going to be that game. But Tennessee at Arkansas, really quality, high level SEC game on ESPN. That's a good 4 Eastern's got a nice little window here. You got a sneaky bubble game, UNC at Virginia Tech. Tar Heels case is basically up in smoke if it loses this, but Virginia Tech has won 6 in a row. Very much up against it. I saw a little bit of blowback in the chat about Armando Bacot being on my all-star team for college basketball. Dude is averaging like 18 and 12, and it's him and Alondas Williams with like Banchero for ACC Player of the Year at this point. Statistically, he's got to be there. Going to have to show up big. 4 Eastern ESPN2, and then another great 4 Eastern CUSA tilt. North Texas, UAB GP. North Texas is 19 and 4. UAB is 20 and 6 and won the first matchup. These are both top 45 Ken Pom teams. I believe this game, I think it might have been this game, was a game we picked in the Final Four and 1 the first time earlier this season. A win for North Texas would lock them up as a 1 seed effectively in the CUSA tournament. And I do think if they won here and they got to win against UAB to get to 20 and 4, they would at least give themselves hope to build in that large case. They'd have to get a lot more wins. They probably couldn't have more than 5 losses total, but it could still be on the table for Grant McCaslin's Mean Green team. Couple more to know before we get to the final game to pick. 6 Eastern, CBS Sports Network, Mountain West bubble game. Utah State at Boise State. Utah State, in order to have any kind of case going forward, has got to pick off the Broncos on the road there. Boise State safely in the field at this moment. Speaking of another bubble team, 8 Eastern, ESPN, Kansas at West Virginia. Mountaineers are 14 and 11. They are not in the field right now. This team has been spiraling, but it can resuscitate its case if it can win. If West Virginia doesn't win this game at home, it will need something of a minor miracle to rally and get into the dance. Agree?
Yeah, they've been terrible for a long time now.
That resume is problematic. And the Big 12 is in this weird spot where you've got a lot of teams flirting with like double-digit seeds, just on the bubble, just off the bubble. West Virginia is another one there. Last one on Saturday at CBS Sports Network, which has a bunch of great games. San Diego State at Fresno State. That is another Mountain West bubble tilt. San Diego State in a tricky one on the road. And then on Sunday, 1 Eastern CBS, Michigan at Wisconsin. I will do post-game on CBS Sports HQ after Wolverines at Bucky. Michigan with the road win, and now they're getting even more interesting. So if that's relevant enough of a result, we'll obviously talk about that on the Sunday podcast. Memphis at SMU, yet another bubble game. Memphis clearly has a strong tournament case right now. That's 3 Eastern on ABC. Also 3 Eastern FS1. Big East bubble game. Marquette at Creighton. For Creighton to win at home, keep it up. Big East is trying to get to 7 bids. I think it's going to ultimately end with 6. And then 5:30 Eastern on Sunday, Rutgers at Purdue. Purdue was losing to Rutgers before it became cool. Now everyone's doing it. This is the return game for the Scarlet Knights. 5:30 Eastern on FS1. Before we pick this final game, GP, Sunday podcast. Are we going before that Rutgers-Purdue game? Are we going maybe around?
No way. Plus, I gotta fly Sunday afternoon.
Boom. Okay, so will it be a later than normal Sunday podcast?
Definitely after Rutgers Purdue.
Okay, we'll be there on Sunday night. Last game, game 5, 10 Eastern on ESPN2. WCC Bubble Special. BYU at St. Mary's, right there on Mickey McConnell Court.
Okay.
St. Mary's beat San Francisco by 5 on Thursday. It's safely in the field. BYU, how about this? 19-8 overall, 3-3 in quad 1, 4-4 in quad 2, 500 in top 2 quadrants, 7-1 in quad 4 with that horrific loss to Pacific. I have BYU out of the field right now. If it gets a win here on Saturday, BYU would be in the field. This is in the moment, here and now. You win, you're in, you lose, I think BYU it's definitely either or. This is a binary result. The line, when I last checked, is St. Mary's -7. Who you got?
I'll take BYU plus the points. In honor of Brandon Davies.
That all we got?
Yeah, you asked a question and I answered.
I'm fine with it. I just, Okay, BYU plus the points. I'm doing one better than you.
Oh, what?
BYU.
Oh, no.
Raider.
He tried it.
I did. Got the new haircut. Way too short on the sides, by the way. That's another disaster altogether. So there we go. Fade this music down. You're going to take BYU to cover. I will go BYU straight up. And in doing so, really vault its tournament resume. In the moment, they would unquestionably be in the field if they can get that quad 1 win.
We ready to go?
Let's get the hell out of here.
Shouts to Devin Downey. Shouts to Chester, South Carolina. Shouts to Andre White. Legend. Shouts to Larnell. Thank you guys once again for listening. Eye on College Basketball Podcast, the middle of the dumbest pandemic of my lifetime. I never seen one like this one, man.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, nothing like this. It's been 2 years, dead leg. 2 years.
We're coming up on it right now. I know. We are.
What in the world happened? What happened? Everything was fine.
Tournament's around the corner.
Everything was fine.
It's coming around the corner.
Everything was going pretty okay.
Nobody asked for this.
Nobody wanted this.
Nobody.
If you're not subscribed to the Eye on College Basketball Podcast, please go subscribe and leave a nice review. 5 stars, nice comments. That's all we've ever asked from you. At Apple, Spotify, and at Apple, you can leave that nice comment. Do so. Takes a few seconds. More of us than there are of them. Don't let them shame us. Don't let them shame us. We can shame them. There's more of us than there are of them. Don't ever forget that. We're going to put it on a T-shirt someday.
We will. We will put that on a T-shirt. We are going to put that on. I promise you that's getting put on a T-shirt. As GP wraps here, just a reminder, if you want a little bit of a different thing, Saturday after the bracket reveal, it's not going to be me and GP. It's going to be Kyle Boone, David Cobb, live on YouTube Saturday. If you're not already subscribed, please be sure to do so. Go ahead.
Smash that like button like you're Brandon Davies. Man, risked a trip to the Final Four just to smash. You ain't risking nothing. You can smash, risk nothing. How great is that, by the way? We'll talk to you again on Sunday night. Till then, take care.